The story begins with Barb, an old lady. After her husband's death, she starts a journey to scatter his ashes in a remote lake, as he had instructed. On the way, she encounters a terrible snowstorm. Barb gets lost, and when she gets out of her Jeep to check the route, she hears a voice. Following the voice, Barb arrives at a cabin where a car is parked. Inside the car is a gun, and there is blood around the car, suggesting something very wrong is happening. A man asks her what she wants and why she's there. Barb innocently explains that she often visited the area with her husband and is just lost, asking for directions to the lake. The man gives her directions. When Barb asks about the blood, he claims it is animal blood from a hunt for food. Barb, choosing to ignore the suspicious circumstances, continues her journey and reaches Lake Hilda, the place she and her husband used to frequent. Standing by the lake, she remembers all the moments she spent with her husband. After sitting there for a while, she takes out her husband's ashes, which she planned to scatter by digging into the lake. But before she can, she hears a gunshot. She sees that a man has shot at a little girl trying to escape from the cabin. Terrified, Barb gets back into her Jeep. Her phone has no signal. Barb realizes that the only nearby house must be where the man has taken the kidnapped girl. She quickly drives to the cabin and tries to check on the child, but all the doors are locked. However, she spots the girl through the basement window. Before she can ask the girl anything, two cars pull up and a couple enters the house. Barb listens and learns that the wife, Clara, instructed her husband, David, to kidnap the girl. Her suspicion is confirmed. The girl is a kidnap victim. Barb writes a message on the window for the girl, "I won't leave you," and then leaves. Meanwhile, Clara comes out to check on the girl. Near the basement, she spots Barb's gloves and the message on the window. Enraged, she confronts David. David explains it was just an old woman asking for directions to the lake. Clara realizes that this woman is now a threat. She grabs her gun and tells David to go eliminate the threat. They assume Barb is hiding near the fishing deck. Clara aims her gun at the deck, and David steps forward to check the door, but suddenly falls into a hollowed-out patch of ice. Barb had deliberately weakened the ice, and she watches from a distance as David drowns in the freezing water. While Clara is busy trying to save him, Barb takes the opportunity to return to the cabin and attempts to break the basement door open. In the process, she falls down the basement stairs. Barb quickly gets to the girl and removes the tape from her mouth. She has freed the girl, but escaping won't be easy. Before leaving with the girl, Barb wants to ensure the couple can't harm anyone else. She goes upstairs and puts out the fire heating the house. She opens all the windows and doors to let the cold in and wets all the blankets so David and Clara will freeze to death. As she's about to return to the basement, a bullet hits her hand. Clara has seen her and fired the shot. Barb flees to her Jeep, only to find the engine completely frozen. The pain from the gunshot is intense. She uses snow to numb the wound, hoping to lessen the pain. She then goes to the fishing deck and finds David's gun, which has only one bullet left. David and Clara, seeing the state of the house, realize it's Barb's work. The house is dangerously cold. Survival is difficult for a normal person, and David is soaked. To keep David alive, Clara puts him in the car. Despite David's condition, Clara insists that they must complete their mission today. She demands they set up by the lake, stating she cannot miss her surgeon's appointment in the morning. Clara's motive is revealed. She kidnapped the girl to harvest her liver for her own transplant. She chose this remote location because no one comes here for years. There are no germs, and she doesn't need a large setup. After taking the girl's liver, they planned to dump her body in the river, ensuring the police would never find evidence or even know a murder occurred. They put the girl and all the equipment into the car. David notices his gun is missing. Enraged, Clara slaps him. David begins setting up by the lake while Clara watches him through binoculars. Barb, hearing Clara's car drive away, goes down to the empty basement and sees the girl is gone. Using the supplies in the basement, Barb first stitches her own wound and then makes a plan to save the child. Outside, David's car is locked. Barb uses a hammer to smash the car window and gets inside. She tries to use the car radio to inform the police of the situation, but before she can finish, David pulls her out and hits her leg hard with the hammer. Barb bravely gets up, pulls David's gun from her pocket and points it at him. David pleads, "No, please don't kill me. I'm not doing anything wrong. My wife is forcing me to do this, and even she isn't entirely wrong. We chose this girl because she has attempted suicide many times. She doesn't want to live. My wife is sick and needs a liver transplant. That's why we're doing this." He then tells Barb he won't support his wife anymore. He's very sick and is going to the hospital to save his own life. Barb tells him that if he is truly a good man, he will go to the police and report his wife before going to the hospital. David agrees and gives Barb her ring, which she dropped near Lake Hilda. He also gives her some extra bullets for the gun, so she can fight his wife. He then drives off. Before David reaches the hospital, his wife, Clara, appears and stops his car. Holding a gun, she asks him where he was going, abandoning her. David cries, saying he is sick and needs help. Clara asks why he didn't come to her. David confesses that he can no longer be a part of this crime. "It's a crime," he says. "And do you think the surgeon will hide your crime? Won't he question whose liver you've brought?" While they are talking, Clara also starts crying and blood drips from her nose. Meanwhile, Barb is reloading her gun with the extra bullets. She prepares her gun and then takes out a picture of herself and her husband from her pickup truck. The picture was from when she was pregnant, a pregnancy that ended tragically with the death of her son. Snapping out of her memories, she looks at the truck, which has been a part of their life together, but now is less important than survival. She shoves some clothes into the fuel tank and sets the pickup truck on fire so the smoke will attract attention and bring help. Barb's plan works. 2 men arrive, drawn by the smoke. It turns out they are the same people Barb spoke to on the radio. Barb tells them, "Thank God you're here. There's a couple here who kidnapped a little girl. The man was badly injured, so I sent him to the hospital, but the real danger is his wife, who wants to kill the girl." The men find Barb's story strange, especially since she has a gun. They ask her to hand over the weapon, and she complies. The men approach the cabin and see Clara sitting in her car. They slowly advance towards the car with their weapons drawn, telling her to get out. As they reach the car door, they are shot from behind. Barb had placed her cap on the ground as a decoy, setting a trap. She shot them both from the other side. Clara then tries to shoot Barb. Barb hides behind the dashboard, opens the glove box, and retrieves her gun. She crawls out and shoots Clara in the foot, making it impossible for her to run. Barb immediately runs towards the cabin and sees David's car on the way, with David dead inside. She breaks down briefly. Clara, however, regains composure and aims her gun at Barb again. Barb manages to reach a shed. Clara shoots at the shed, breaking it, and the entire structure collapses on Barb, knocking her unconscious. Hours later, Barb wakes up in the same basement where the girl had been held. The girl, Leah, is terrified and tells Barb, "I don't want to die." Barb asks her name and says, "What a lovely name. If we had a daughter, I would have named her Leah too." Barb then tells Leah a story about her great-grandfather who was trapped in a snowstorm with many soldiers. She explains that it was a deadly storm and many soldiers died, but her great-grandfather didn't give up. He knew if he rested for a second, his body heat would deplete and he would die faster. He kept walking and eventually survived. Barb tells Leah that if he had stopped, he would have frozen to death, but his courage and strength saved him. If he hadn't, she wouldn't be sitting there today. Barb says, "I agree that we don't know what will happen to us, but we should at least fight for ourselves and keep trying to save ourselves." She then frees herself, finds large boots for both of them, and attempts to open the basement door, which is locked from the outside. After hours of effort, Barb manages to open the door, but just as they step out, Clara is there and locks them back in the basement. A little later, Clara returns, brings them out, and ties them up, leading them towards the lake. She makes Barb drag a lot of equipment. At the lake, Clara sets up an operating table and tells Barb to strap the girl down. Then she instructs Barb to assist her by handing over instruments. Barb notices that Clara's foot is bleeding profusely from the gunshot wound. Barb advises her to dress the wound first, but Clara ignores her. Clara asks Barb to hand her a kit from a box. Barb opens it and realizes it is a liver transplant kit. Clara is about to take the innocent girl's liver. Barb pleads with her not to commit this atrocity, but Clara pays no heed. She instructs Barb to tape the girl's mouth, legs, and hands, which Barb does. After Barb does this, Clara shoots her. Clara then begins marking Leah's body to locate the liver. Before she can make a cut, Barb gets up. She attacks Clara from behind, pushing her away from Leah. In the ensuing struggle, Clara, being younger, overpowers Barb. The struggle causes Clara's gun to hit a lamp, setting the entire tent on fire. They fight their way out of the tent. Clara's gun falls away and both women scramble for it. Clara manages to grab it. As Barb tries to stop her, Clara accidentally fires a bullet into the lake. Clara then frees herself and aims the gun at Barb for the final shot, only to realize the gun is out of bullets. In a fit of rage, Clara hits Barb's head with the butt of the gun, causing her to bleed heavily. The tent, where Leah's operation was about to happen, is completely burned down. Leah, who had managed to save herself, crawls out and extinguishes the fire on her clothes with snow. She then approaches Clara, grabs Clara's gun, and hits her with it. Clara screams in pain. Leah then ties Clara's feet to Barb's body and throws them both into the lake, believing Barb to be dead. However, Barb is not dead. As she drowns in the lake, she opens the box containing her husband's ashes, which she was holding even then. With her husband's last wish fulfilled, she dies, and the evil Clara also drowns. Only Leah is left alive. She manages to escape from the dangerous area, and the movie ends with her survival.